thinking about moving to Livermore, California, and wondering how the cost of living here compares to San Francisco? In today's video, we're going to break down the cost of living in Livermore versus San Francisco in 2026, including housing, rent, daily expenses, lifestyle costs, commuting, and quality of life, so that you can see how far your money goes and make a smart relocation decision. If you're new here, I'm Sam Costello, a local realtor serving Livermore and the Tri-Valley, and I help families relocate here from San Francisco, San Jose, the Peninsula, and all over the Bay Area. Livermore is one of the fastest growing cities in the East Bay suburbs because it offers so much value, but people always want to know, how much more affordable is it really? Let's start with the biggest single piece of every budget, housing. According to the cost of living comparison, San Francisco is overall more expensive than Livermore, and housing is the primary driver of that difference. For example, the median home price in Livermore is at roughly $1.2 million, depending on the neighborhood and market conditions, while the Bay Area median can exceed that level significantly. In a city like San Francisco, you're often paying more for less space compared to Livermore, where larger homes and yards are more common. And when it comes to rent, Livermore rental prices are notable, but still generally lower than the high rents people experience in San Francisco. Another average rent in Livermore for a 1 or 2 bedroom place are around the mid to high $2,000 per month as of late 2025, often somewhat less than what you'd pay in San Francisco's competitive rental market. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, median rents have climbed, and even a 1-bedroom apartment can exceed $3,400 per month, according to recent reports on Bay Area rental trends. So the first thing to understand is that housing costs typically represent the biggest difference when comparing Livermore to San Francisco, and for most people moving here from the city, that's where they see the largest financial relief. Now let's talk about everyday living costs beyond housing. Expenses like groceries, utilities, transportation, and lifestyle. Overall, California's cost of living is significantly higher than the national average, largely due to housing, utilities, and transportation costs. Livermore's cost of living places it in the top 2% of cities worldwide on some cost indexes, reflecting that it's still an expensive part of the country, but when compared to San Francisco, it's generally more affordable. For example, many utilities costs such as electricity, water, and energy are comparable between the Bay Area suburbs because of shared climate and infrastructure, but Livermore does not have the same urban premium that San Francisco often experiences. Groceries and food expenses tend to be similar across Bay Area cities, although dining out in San Francisco typically costs more due to higher rent costs for restaurants and higher service charges. Another major cost to think about when comparing Livermore versus San Francisco is commuting and transportation. If you work in San Francisco, you may be considering the cost and time of commuting weekly or even daily. Commuting from Livermore can involve the H train for the southbound workers or driving on I-580 for Bay Area commutes. And depending on your schedule, remote or hybrid options may make the commute more manageable. With hybrid work becoming more common, many families relocating to Livermore find that they don't spend nearly as much on transportation once they adjust their work patterns. That's part of the broader cost of living equation as well, how much time and money you spend just getting around. Now I want to highlight something that doesn't always show up in typical cost comparisons: the difference between effective cost and perceived value. For many people relocating from San Francisco to Livermore, the cost per square foot of housing is a huge value play. You pay less per square foot and you get more space, a yard, parking, and a different lifestyle than the dense urban environment of San Francisco. That real value difference often outweighs simple numbers on a spreadsheet once people experience it in daily life. Another part of the cost of living conversation is long-term financial flexibility, because housing prices and housing payments tend to be lower in Livermore relative to San Francisco. Many people find that they gain more room in their monthly budget. That doesn't just mean lower costs, it often means more money available for savings, travel, investments, retirement planning, or lifestyle upgrades. A frequently overlooked factor is time, and time has financial value. Longer commute times in San Francisco and other urban centers often lead to additional expenses like fuel, parking, ride shares, or just burnout that results in higher lifestyle spending. In Livermore, errands, grocery shopping, school drop-offs, and daily activities are often within a shorter radius, which can indirectly reduce costs and increase convenience. It's also worth thinking about lifestyle effects on spending. Many people moving from the city to Livermore find that their lifestyle actually becomes less expensive simply because they engage in more low-cost activities: parks, trails, community events, winery outings, open-air recreation, instead of city entertainment that often includes expensive parking, dining, or tickets. And another real consideration is market trends. Recent data shows that home prices in Livermore have seen some downward movement compared to previous years, suggesting potential opportunities for buyers, while broader Bay Area housing markets are navigating inventory and pricing dynamics. Meanwhile, parts of the Bay Area, including San Francisco, continue to see strong demand for limited housing supply, which maintains pressure on prices and rent. Finally, remember, cost of living is personal and specific to your situation. Tools like cost of living calculators can help you estimate what salary you might need to maintain a certain lifestyle in a new city, but those tools work best when you input your actual spending patterns, household size, and financial goals. So here's the bottom line. Livermore's cost of living is generally lower than San Francisco's, especially when you factor in housing, rent, and lifestyle value, but both cities remain part of one of the most expensive regions in the country. Understanding how costs work in both places and matching that with your priorities is the key to making an informed relocation decision. And before we wrap up the cost of living comparison between Livermore and San Francisco, I want to talk about the real-world financial experience people have after they move. Because cost of living isn't just about numbers, it's about how manageable your life feels month to month. One of the biggest shifts people notice after moving to Livermore is that their finances feel more predictable. In San Francisco, costs tend to fluctuate constantly. Parking fees, transit costs, delivery fees, service charges, higher dining prices, and unexpected expenses tied to density and congestion. Even if your rent and mortgage stay the same, the day-to-day spending can feel more chaotic. In Livermore, many people tell me that their expenses feel less steadier. The groceries are easier to plan for, errands don't require added cost, you're not constantly paying to navigate the city. That predictability alone reduces financial stress for a lot of households. Another important part of the cost of living conversation is how much flexibility your budget gives you. When housing takes up a larger portion of your income, which is common in San Francisco, there's often less room for saving, investing, or handling those unexpected expenses that pop up. Many people who relocate to Livermore find that even if their total expenses are still higher than the national standards, they gain more flexibility. They're better able to plan for travel, future moves, education costs, or long-term financial goals. That breathing room is something people don't always anticipate, but it does make a difference in how confident they feel financially. Let's also talk about opportunity cost, because this is something buyers don't always think about when comparing Livermore versus San Francisco. In the city, a significant portion of your income often goes towards maintaining proximity to jobs and amenities. In Livermore, because you get more space and functionality for your housing dollar, that same money can support a different lifestyle. People often tell me they feel like their home finally works for them, whether that means having space to work remotely, room for hobbies, outdoor space, or the ability to host friends and family. That functionality has value, even if it's not reflected on a cost of living calculator. Another thing that changes after moving to Livermore is how people spend their discretionary income. In San Francisco, discretionary income spending often centers around paid experiences, dining out frequently, entertainment, ride shares, parking, and events. In Livermore, discretionary spending often shifts towards experiences that are lower cost or free. Parks, trails, community events, outdoor dining, wine country activities. People aren't giving up enjoyment, they're just enjoying things differently. Over time, that shift can noticeably reduce monthly spending without sacrificing quality of life. Now let's talk about long-term sustainability, because cost of living isn't just about today. It's about whether a place works for you 5 or 10 years from now. Many people see Livermore as a place where they can stay longer without needing to move again quickly. Homes tend to support changing needs over time, which can reduce the costs associated with frequent moves, upgrades, or relocations. That stability can translate into significant savings over the long term. Another financial factor people underestimate is how environment affects spending behavior. When your surroundings feel calmer and more spacious, you're less likely to spend money trying to escape stress. People often cook more at home, spend more time outside, and feel less pressure to constantly be out. Those small changes in behavior can have a meaningful impact on monthly expenses, especially over time. It's also important to consider how work patterns affect the cost of living. With hybrid and remote work now common, many people no longer need to live right next to their workplace. That shift has made places like Livermore much more attractive because you're not paying a premium just to shorten a commute you only do a few days a week. For many households, this change alone reshapes the cost of living equation in a very positive way. Another layer of the Livermore versus San Francisco cost comparison is value retention and future planning. While no market is guaranteed, many buyers view Livermore as a place where they can get strong long-term value, relative to space, and lifestyle. That perception matters when people are thinking about buying rather than renting or planning to stay in a home for an extended period. Finally, I want to say this clearly. Livermore is not inexpensive, it's still part of the Bay Area, and costs here are higher than the national average. But compared to San Francisco, many people find Livermore's cost of living to be more balanced, not just cheaper, but more aligned with the lifestyle that they're looking for. And that alignment is what makes people feel like the move is worthwhile. So if you're comparing the cost of living in Livermore versus San Francisco, I encourage you to look beyond surface numbers. Think about predictability, flexibility, time, lifestyle, and long-term fit. Those factors often matter more than any single expense category. If you're considering relocating to Livermore or the Tri-Valley and you want help walking through these decisions based on your personal budget and goals, I would be happy to help. I work with buyers making this move every week, and my role is to make sure that you have an informed, confident decision that fits you. If you're thinking about moving to Livermore or comparing cost of living in the Tri-Valley with San Francisco, I would love to help you break it down based on your budget and your desired lifestyle. Reach out anytime with your questions and make sure that you subscribe to this channel because I am always making videos about living in Livermore, cost of living comparisons, best neighborhoods, and everything you need to make your Bay Area move with confidence. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.